Kindness. It's a beautiful thing. We teach it to kids, we praise it in public, we seek it in friends, partners, leaders, even strangers. After all, wouldn't the world be a better place if we were all just a little more kind? But what if I told you that kindness, yes, the very thing we're encouraged to show in every situation, might actually be ruining your life? Now, don't get me wrong, kindness in itself is powerful. It heals, it connects, it transforms. But like any powerful force, when misused or misdirected, it can become toxic, not just to others, but to you. In this video, I'm breaking down 7 ways kindness can backfire, how it can lead to burnout, broken boundaries, emotional manipulation, and missed opportunities. This isn't about becoming cold or heartless, it's about being kind with clarity, compassion with limits, and love without self-destruction. Way 1. People will take advantage of you. Let's start with the most common one. When you're too kind, you attract the wrong people. Not everyone will appreciate your kindness. Some will see it as a weakness, a gap in the armor, a green light. You start by helping a friend move, then covering their shift, then listening to their rants at 2 a.m. Soon, they're asking for money, rides, favors, and worst of all, they feel entitled to your kindness. The problem isn't that you're kind, the problem is that you've taught them you never say no. And once people realize that, they stop asking politely and start expecting. Eventually, you're drained, but if you try to pull back, you're selfish now. Or worse, they ghost you because your value to them was tied entirely to your service. Moral of the story? Kindness without boundaries isn't noble. It's a setup. Be kind, but never predictable and never self-sacrificing without reason. Way 2. You'll neglect your own needs. If you're always taking care of everyone else, who's taking care of you? People who lead with kindness often forget to lead with balance. You skip meals to help others. You lose sleep answering late-night calls. You put off your own goals to support someone else's. And here's what happens. Resentment. Quiet at first, then louder. You start to feel used, overlooked, even invisible. But can you blame anyone? You've trained them to see you as a helper, not a human being with your own limits. Kindness without self-care isn't sustainable. You burn out, and no one even notices because you were always the one who had it together. Tip: schedule your own priorities first. Say yes only when you can afford it. Don't confuse martyrdom with generosity. Way 3. You'll attract emotional vampires. Ever notice how people with the biggest emotional baggage tend to find the kindest person in the room? That's not an accident. Kind people radiate safety. And while that's beautiful, it can also make you a magnet for emotional vampires, people who don't want solutions. They want attention, constant reassurance, drama, pity, chaos. You listen, you empathize, you stay on the phone for hours, and nothing ever changes. Because they don't want to heal, they just want to be heard, again and again and again. It's exhausting. And over time, your emotional bandwidth is hijacked. You stop investing in healthy relationships because your energy is spent managing someone else's emotional storms. Being kind doesn't mean being available to everyone at all times. You are not a therapist, you're not a sponge for other people's pain. You can hold space for someone without letting them occupy your whole life. Way 4. You'll be seen as weak or indecisive. This one's subtle but powerful. Too much kindness can damage your credibility. In work, in leadership, even in friendships. Why? Because people often confuse kindness with indecision. You hesitate to give hard feedback. You soften your opinions. You compromise to keep the peace. And guess what happens? You get talked over, dismissed, overlooked for promotions. Your voice loses weight. Kindness without strength makes people question your authority, even if you're brilliant, even if you're right. True leaders aren't cruel, but they are clear. They set expectations, they hold people accountable, and sometimes they say things that aren't easy to hear. Tip: let your kindness come with clarity. Be kind but firm, gentle but immovable in your standards. Way 5. You'll have trouble saying no. Here's a big one. No is one of the most loving words you can learn to say. But for kind people, saying no feels like betrayal. It feels mean. It feels wrong. So you say yes to every ask, every favor, every invite, even when you're tired, stressed, overwhelmed, or just not interested. You think you're helping, but you're not. You're draining yourself. You're teaching others to ignore your time. And worst of all, you're building resentment. You don't owe anyone your time. Saying no doesn't make you unkind. It makes you self-aware. Imagine how much more powerful your yeses would be if people knew you meant them. Way number 6. You'll stay in toxic relationships. Kindness becomes a trap in relationships, especially when we believe we can fix people. You stay in friendships where you're constantly disrespected, relationships where you're emotionally neglected, workplaces that drain you. Why? Because you believe in them. You see their potential. You want to be the light in their darkness. But potential doesn't equal promise. And love doesn't mean you abandon yourself. People often use kind-heartedness as a leash. They know you'll give them another chance, and another, and another. Warning sign: if your kindness is costing you your peace, your safety, or your self-respect, that's not love. That's a slow form of self-destruction. Way number 7. Your efforts will go unnoticed. Here's the ironic part. The more consistently kind you are, the less people notice. At first, they thank you. Then they expect it. Eventually, they stop acknowledging it altogether. You become the helper, not the person, not the friend, just the role. And over time, you wonder, does anyone even see me? Or do they just see what I do for them? Kindness is never wasted, but it's okay to feel unappreciated. It's okay to want to be seen. You deserve relationships where kindness flows both ways, where your efforts are not just accepted, but valued. So there you have it. 7 ways unchecked kindness can quietly ruin your life. Let me be clear, kindness is still a superpower, but like any power, it needs boundaries, discipline, self-awareness. Being kind doesn't mean being a doormat. It doesn't mean saying yes to everything. It doesn't mean saving people who don't want to be saved. It means offering what you can, when you can, with love, but never at the cost of your own soul. So, here's your reminder. You can be kind and still say no. You can be generous and still protect your peace. You can care deeply and still walk away. Thanks for watching. If this video hit home for you, drop a comment and let me know which kindness trap you've fallen into and what you're doing now to climb out. Subscribe for more real, honest conversations like this one. Stay strong, stay kind, with boundaries.